Today we will be talking about is punishment an effective behaviour modification strategy in children. This topic is very relevant to current research, considering there's a huge debate in society about whether or not punishment or punishing your child either physically or emotionally has any effect on their behaviour and perhaps on how they will end up behaving in their teenage years and on through to adulthood, and what type of lessons that we are teaching them. The article I will be discussing today is an article titled Behaviour Therapy and Callous Unemotional Traits, Effects of a Pilot Study Examining Modified Behavioural Contingencies on Childhood Behaviour. It was published in 2014 in the Behaviour Therapy Journal, and its aim is to determine whether or not there is a link between punishment or reward behaviour treatments and behaviour modifications and changes. The rationale behind this study was that there is a huge amount of research being conducted in society about whether or not corporal punishment or punishment in itself is an effective behavioural modification strategy in terms of helping children have a higher instance of good behaviour, particularly in the long term. However, there is a huge debate about whether or not punishment or corporal punishment in itself is actually having a damaging effect on children and how they do behave in the long term, as well as some psychological effects on children. The method of this particular study, it involved a summer treatment program which ran for 8 weeks. Essentially, it was a single case research method, a type of study that was used to examine the response of children with these callous unemotional traits and how they responded to those 4 behavioural conditions. The children were treated with 4 different behaviour modification methods. The standard treatment, which involved taking away rewards if they had behaved poorly, and also completing punishments during those reward timeframes. So for a child that had behaved poorly, they would have recess taken away from them and be made to complete chores during that recess timeframe. Low punishment treatment was the second method, and this involved just taking away the reward but not making them complete the punishment. Therefore, just taking away the recess but not making them complete chores during recess, anything like that. The high reward method was the third method, and that involved a token system in which children were given a token or a ticket for every 15 minutes they had good behaviour. They were able to take these tickets to purchase toys at a store that they were able to visit every 3 times a day, and the combined punishment involved a combination of both low punishment and high reward systems. The participants within this study were 11 children. However, it was 91% male. There was only 1 female and 10 male children that were participating in this study. They were recruited, as I said before, from a larger treatment program for children with ADHD, autism and other disorders such as conduct disorder and oppositional defiant disorder. There were 5 diagnostic measures used to interpret how children were responding to treatments. These 5 diagnostic measures all involved either questionnaires or interviews. 3 out of 5 measured the traits and the relevance of the traits and the intensity of the traits involving ADHD or callous unemotional traits and in impulsivity traits as well. The other interview questions just talked about how children were going in terms of responding to the treatments and how likely the incentive was to complete good behaviour over in the long term. The findings of the study essentially showed that in all situations, including timeouts, sports activities and classroom activities, negative behaviour was repeated at the lowest possible incidence in the children that received the low punishment method during those weeks. As a method of treatment, the individual responses to the treatment showed much less repetitive poor behaviours or negative behaviours in the classroom, and this also carried on in the higher reward method. In the weeks where high reward methods were used, the children had the second lowest measurement for repeating their negative behaviours and were more likely to participate and had a higher incentive to have good behaviours throughout the classroom following into the next week. The overall conclusion that was reached by the authors and also by myself studying this article was that children reacted the best or responded the best to the treatment method of low punishment. The implication for clinical practice regarding this study was that the sample size actually was only eligible or only specific to children with callous and emotional traits. Therefore, it's really hard to apply this evidence to a broader range. Particularly in clinical practice, the evidence is so specific to certain children that it's hard to provide any credibility to put this towards any type of child in terms of a behaviour strategy that would be effective for them. There were also limitations to the study. The main limitation that I identified, which I also talked about briefly before, was that the small sample size of only 11 children. 11 children is a very small study size to be able to take accurate results from, and doesn't really provide much credibility to the results. It doesn't involve a huge amount of people, and the risk of having an adverse or inaccurate data analysis is quite high in a smaller group. Also, the fact that it is 11 children, it's a small sample size, but also the genders were not equally balanced between males and females. There's 10 males to 1 female in this sample, and children of different genders may react completely differently to different methods. Therefore, we weren't really able to study and analyse how females versus males with these certain traits were able to respond, if there was a difference between how they responded and which ones might respond to the different treatment methods a bit better.